All right, what's up, everybody? We're live. I got the hub with me. What's up, Max Webster? What's up, Joe Yotto? Cameron Setliff, Logan's Giant Zone, Adam Jafar, Aiden X, Cameron Setliff. Already shouted you out, but I just wanted to start this off with something I just saw pop up on my timeline on Twitter. Um, Leonard Williams posted on his Instagram story the top destinations for free agents, and yeah, he
This
got
is
it right here.
this is Leonard Williams' Instagram. My
And they're
camera isn't
projecting
that good.
him,
Yeah.
yeah, and they're projecting him to come to the Giants. So some people are kind of writing that down as Leonard Williams saying that he wants to come back to the Giants, which I'm pretty sure he wants to, but obviously we have to be able to give him the money. And I'll just start it off by just asking you, just do you think that he's coming back? And we've rehashed this a bunch of times, but opinions change. So you think he's coming back? And what's kind of your line now that you know that the Giants are aggressively pursuing him?
Mm-hmm. It's a good thing you brought up the fact that they are aggressively pursuing him, because we kind of both came to the conclusion before we started live. Was like, it can't be a coincidence that these two things happen in the same day. And obviously, I think Leonard did it when he saw the report that said the Giants are trying hard to get him back, or maybe, I don't know. But I think it's definitely connected. And with all that out there now, it's only been one day, right? It's literally been a couple hours, but I am
Yeah,
little, I am a little bit swayed now to say that maybe he is actually going to be back with the Giants. And I mean, I think we all want him to be back. It's just a matter of, what it's going to cost. You know what I'm saying? And I had
exactly.
I had a vid out today that about reporting on the article that said the Giants are trying hard to get him back. I was like, this getting Leonard Williams back means we're going to lose Dalvin Thompson. Or let me pull up, what was the title of that video? Let me see. It's something like that. Yeah, it's like, will Leonard Williams cost us Dalvin Thompson? Because if they're trying really hard to bring him back, right?
Exactly.
Even if it's still a sub 20 mil deal, it's probably going to be in that like $18 million range, which is a lot. And I mean, damn, it means D
Yeah.
might be a casualty.
Yeah, my thing is, what's going on? I know we got some more people in here. What's going on Sunday? Vance, Giants girl in Florida, Done Deal, Vinny, some OGs in here. But I think Leonard Williams, first we have to really look at the cap going forward, knowing that it's going to shoot up. If this thing ends anytime soon, the cap is going to shoot up like crazy. So
Mm-hmm.
what 18 million right now is kind of like the top of what me and you want to really pay him.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be something that's really, that's really low. It could be something that's really low in 2 years, because as I always bring up, he's a defensive end, and they pay all of the defensive ends the same as far as the franchise tag and everything. So Joey Bosa is getting paid 27 mil. So the
Mm-hmm.
next defensive end is going to get paid, 30 mil. And maybe, in 2 years, defensive ends will be getting paid 40 mil. So, if you're 2 years into Leonard Williams' contract and he's getting paid like 12 million less than the top defensive ends, I think that's a pretty good deal. But if we want to look at just this year, I've been kind of keeping my mind open, because Leonard Williams could be someone who ends up being signed over these next 3 or 4 years, and that money could be pushed back, and we still might be able to go out and get that top free agent at another position that we would want. Maybe it is Shaq Barrett or one of these top guys.
Exactly. You bring up a really good point, and what it comes down to ultimately is going to be, at what position do we pay him at, right? I still call him a defensive tackle because that's what he is. A defensive end, in my opinion, in a 3-4 is still a defensive
Yeah,
tackle. You know what I'm saying? They did play him out on the edge a couple of times, whether you want to consider that an end or even an outside linebacker, but he was played out on the edge a couple of times this year. But Leonard Williams is a defensive tackle. And as a defensive tackle, you know what I'm saying? I'll say this: give the man some props and respect. Obviously not to you, but to the fans out there,
yeah,
give the man his props and respect. As a defensive tackle, he was legitimately the second best one in the league this year. There was only one other defensive tackle that performed better than him this year, and it's the Hall of Famer Aaron Donald, who I personally consider currently the best player in the NFL. Right? That's a
yep,
lot. That's like quite a person to be second to. So even if we pay him as a defensive tackle, you're right, which is cheaper than a defensive end, it's still going to cost a lot. But he's looking to get paid at that end position because it's more lucrative. But I'll say this: and I popped this up in the video that I had out today as well. Leonard Williams did say back in early January, maybe this was just for show, but I hope he means it. It's not about the money, it's about the respect. And you know what I'm saying? He alluded to the Giants showing him a lot of respect this year. So maybe he doesn't take a huge contract.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's really about that. And I mean, Leonard Williams is so tricky because he's someone coming out of the draft that they were projecting could play pretty much anywhere on the defensive line. Like if he was in a 4-3, he could play a 3 tech. He might be able to, play.
Was he the same draft as Donald, or was he a year after?
Ooh, I think he was the year after.
Okay.
I think he was the year after because it was that year that the Jets had the Jets were stacked at defensive line, and he fell to them. I remember that.
Yeah. Because, well, they weren't exactly saying this word for word, but Donald, even as a rookie, he won Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was basically supposed to be that next Donald-type player, a defensive tackle that could rush the football. And, I mean, you didn't see it until this year, right? And that's why we're all concerned. You didn't really see it until this year.
Yeah, and I dropped a Leonard Williams video a little bit earlier on this week. And I think I pulled up the cap hits for defensive tackles, those pass rushing, basically 3 techs, no matter, where they are. I pulled up the cap hits, and I think DeForest Buckner was over 20 million. Chris Jones was over 20 million. Of course, Aaron Donald was over 20 million. So paying him, in that neighborhood would not be, as far as what the market is, an overpay, because he kind of had better seasons than those other defensive tackle kind of pass rusher guys. And it goes back to what Super Chat distracted me.
Yeah, Nick DeWitt came in my channel last night, was trolling, and after I blocked him, he made 2 other burner accounts to troll me from.
Anyway, it goes back to if you value the position or not, because we saw Chris Jones kind of get shut down in the Super Bowl. Aaron Donald even got shut down a couple of years ago in the Super Bowl. So those guys all kind of disappear at times. So the argument that Leonard Williams sometimes disappears might not always apply, but I'll get to the Super Chat. Nick DeWitt, thanks for the $1.99 Super Chat. Diggy equals 60 minutes, Hub equals 30 seconds. I don't know what the beef is between Nick and Hub. I mean,
there is
not a good sub for me.
Bro, he came into my channel trolling with this same thing. I think we could all connect the dots. It's that's Fizzle saying right there. So I'm guessing he's probably just a brainless follower or something.
I don't know, but you can give your opinions on
because it's not like I'd be out here fighting subs. like who does that? But what was the question again? Because I got distracted.
I was just saying Leonard Williams is someone that the fans argue that he disappears some games, but that's just what you get from that position.
I agree, because I brought up that point a couple times as well, and that's why when the season came to an end, I was like, man, do I really want to play a guy that in like our last 5 games was kind of missing for like 3 of them? You know what I'm saying? Like, where was he during the Cardinals game, for example?
Yeah.
After the Seahawks game, he kind of disappeared for like 2 or 3 weeks before he then showed back up or something like that. I don't even know. But whatever the case is, you bring up a good point. At that position, you could only expect so much, right? And I guess it's because, and we keep bringing up Aaron Donald because that's who he said he wanted to be paid like. It's if you want to be paid like him, Donald doesn't disappear in these games. Like I'm talking about, we didn't even see pressures from Williams during those games. At the very least, Donald gets pressures during those games. So it's like, I don't know how to take it, because on the one hand, you're right. At a defensive tackle position, even if you're a quote-unquote defensive end in 3-4, you're not going to be there every single game rushing like an edge rusher would. Yet at the same time, if we're going to give you a lot of money, you probably should be.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I kind of made the argument that if we want to pay Leonard Williams $20 million, then I mean it all depends on if they want to come to your team. But I think you should be looking at these top edge rushers like Shaq Barrett, even Hassan Reddick, a couple of other guys who are kind of proven edge rushers. Maybe you take that money that you were going to give Leonard Williams, and Hassan Reddick probably isn't going to cost you $20 million. He might be less than that. You can pay Hassan Reddick, you can pay a receiver, or you can just double up on edge rusher. So it's a big decision.
The thing that I found interesting that you did say, though, is possibly just backloading the contract, which I think backloading short contracts and stuff like that is going to be something that general managers across the league use a lot this offseason.
Yeah, that'll definitely. We're going to see a lot of 1-year deals. a lot of backloading deals because they're expecting the cap is probably going to go up like 40 million in the next 2 years. So you're going to see a lot of really bloated contracts that you might see, someone who's negative in the cap this year, go up, sign someone for like 20 something million, and you're going to be like, where's the money? Well, it's 2 years down the line. But Ross Carson is asking, I think this is a good point. Is it possible to tag Dalvin Tomlinson and then sign Williams? Since the salary cap has, shrunk this year, I think the tag for Dalvin Tomlinson is probably going to be really affordable.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think it's like 12 or 13 mil for tackles.
Exactly. So that should be really affordable. And that's also around the contract that I see him getting. So maybe it makes more sense to just sign him long term. It's definitely possible, guys, to get both of these guys back. We're probably not going to get both back and sign a premier, outside free agent. But maybe we, get both of these guys back and sign, a tier 2 free agent.
Tier 2 free agent at any of the positions in need. So you're saying either at receiver or
receiver, corner, edge rusher. Yeah, it might just be a tier 2 guy.
I'd like that because, well, we need a tier 2 guy anyway at corner. You know what I'm saying? Receiver, I wouldn't mind it. I'm assuming we'd still take a receiver in the draft. And then maybe for edge, I'd leave edge alone if it's going to be a tier 2 guy.
Yeah, I mean, the only kind of tier 2 edge that I'm looking at is Hassan Reddick. Other than that, I mean, there's a lot of – Leonard Floyd is another tier 2 guy. And edge rushers are so funny because every year that fans look at edge rushers and say, this guy isn't really that good, there's always like – they always have like a breakout season. So Glock Roach is asking, that's hey, everybody type in Glock Roach from Twitter.
Yeah, I was about to say, is that the same guy?
This dude is a legend.
Yeah.
But
he's amazing on Twitter.
He said, what's up? What do y'all think about signing Bouye or Norman? Now, I saw that Bouye got cut, and if he's for a good price, that's worth looking into. He could be, someone that we target if we don't go that big receiver. But that's an interesting thing to look at, but I don't think that the Giants are looking to spend, premier money at that position.
Yeah, I was going to ask, why did he get cut? Was it just like it didn't work out?
I think it's a cap kind of thing.
Okay, because I'm like, he should still be a pretty good corner at this point in his career.
I think he might have been dealing with some injuries too. I think he was dealing with some injuries. It might be a thing where, they might want to get younger. But Bouye is a really good corner. And if he's your second best corner, you have a really good secondary. But some Home Slice 25 is asking how we feel about McShay's mock.
Oh, you're asking me first?
Yeah, you can.
Let me see. Let me pull it up. Todd McShay's mock. Was he the one? Well, a lot of people had us taking Kyle Pitts. Yeah, but let me see what his mock draft. Oh, did he already have more than one out?
I can throw it up. Yeah.
Yeah. I found it on ESPN, right?
Yeah, we have it here.
All right.
Oh, I don't know. It's just acting a little crazy because I got the green screen. But
let me
he has Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson. The Jets take Zach Wilson. The Panthers trade up for Trey Lance, that's disrespectful to Justin Fields to me. But Justin Fields goes number 4 to the Falcons. Penei Sewell goes number 5 to the Bengals.
Wait, how are you? Do you have ESPN Plus or something?
No, this is like the screenshot from the ESPN. Okay. They show the top 12.
I was about to say, yeah, because I'm like, I can't read the entire thing.
But they show the top 12, and basically the Giants end up getting Kyle Pitts, and both corners are gone. The top 3 receivers are gone. And Micah Parsons, it's pretty much between Micah Parsons, Kyle Pitts, or if we want to take Rashad Bateman, which I'm kind of on the Rashad Bateman train if all 3 receivers are gone now.
I wouldn't be, I would not be against it because Bateman is my 4th receiver in the draft and he's really good. It's just that I feel like if there is somehow either of the corners there, which were either the corners there or were they both gone?
Both were gone. It was pretty much you either take the risk on Parsons with the character stuff, or you take Kyle Pitts, or you go Bateman, or maybe you take the tackle Rashawn Slater. But everybody else was gone as far as the top.
Yeah, wow, that's a really dry pick at 11 if that happens. That's like the worst. Well, not the worst scenario because you still got good players, but that's like everybody that's like can go is just gone within top 10 right there. So I mean, yeah, I'd probably go Bateman over Pitts. I don't know how people would feel about that. I'd probably go Bateman over Pitts, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would probably go Bateman over Pitts too. Now that I've really gotten to really look at him, I see Bateman as I wouldn't be mad if my team had like the 8th overall pick and they took Rashad Bateman. I think he's that good. But Done Deal is saying that Shaq Barrett is definitely going back to the Bucks. I'm telling you that Shaq Barrett, because of that off-field stuff, because he wanted to do like what Vance and Sunday were talking about in his free time, he ended up getting undrafted and he didn't get paid. He still hasn't gotten paid. So you never know. I mean, if somebody offers him something crazy, he might end up leaving. But, I mean, maybe he just wants to chase rings, which is good for him.
Well, at that point, would it be chasing rings? Because he's been with the Bucks for a couple of years now, I think.
Oh, I'm not saying like that's like a bad thing. Like he's selling out. I'm saying maybe he's just, dedicated on trying to just win championships. Some players choose the winning. Some players choose the money. Some players try to mix it up. But, we'll see.
Also, everybody in the Bucks celebration today said that they'd be back. So the Bucks they're not gonna get everybody back. So unless they have unlimited cap.
You can't say like I'm leaving after this. But I see Vance brought up a pretty solid point too. What do you think about the offensive line? Because it seems like ever since we saw the as Fist says, the corpse of something. We saw the corpse of the Chiefs offensive line where they had pretty much all backups in there. And if people are trying to say that's the Chiefs starting offensive line, they were all backups. They were like every single person was a backup. And a lot of people are saying now that, every team in the league feels that they need to address their offensive line. I'm someone who doesn't see that as a premium need. But, I mean, and by the way, too, it's gotten so far out of control with this offensive line stuff that we have Fist Vegas on Twitter telling us to trade first-round picks for an offensive tackle.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, what world do we live in?
I don't even know. Because I'll tell you this, the Leonard Williams video I had out today, like the last 3 minutes was talking about the Orlando Brown stuff, which is directly related to this just because he's a top-tier tackle actively requesting to be traded somewhere, right? But here's the thing, to respond to that real quick, and maybe we could get into it after I answered the premium question. We're not trading for Orlando Brown because he's going to take at least a first-round pick, and we need our first-round pick. But to answer the question, tackle is still a premium need for me. Not tackle, line is still a premium need for me because the line isn't finished yet, right? And maybe the line will be finished if it just has another year. I think one thing we forget about maybe sometimes is continuity and just allowing these guys to develop, whether it's with the scheme or just with the guys they're playing next to. But the only person I'm confident in this offensive line, like really confident in moving forward, is Kevin Zeitler, who's been in trade and cut talks for the entire season, and I really don't want him to go. I want us to restructure his contract, and Andrew Thomas, and that's because we all learned that he was playing on a bad ankle all year, and he looked good towards the end of the season on that bad ankle. So that just gives me confidence that he should be good next year. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the only two guys. Will Hernandez has been very inconsistent. I hope he could catch himself. Nick Gates, I know a lot of people say was actually our best offensive lineman, but I'm like, hey, yo, listen, Nick Gates, he did have a good year. He proved me wrong. Right? He proved me wrong for sure, but let's calm it down. Nick Gates still has a way to go as a center. Like, there was still bad snaps that we all saw during the season. He still has room to improve, but I'm not completely confident in him yet. And of course, Matt Peart, who we all hope develops into the right tackle, we still don't know who the right tackle is moving forward, right? That's why in my Giants mock draft, I had us taking 2 offensive linemen, albeit it was the last 2 picks of the draft, but I had us using some capital towards that line because it still needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the big thing is Matt Peart. I've always been someone who's been looking at maybe getting rid of Zeitler, but I think he's too good to get rid of. I think that's going to be a restructure. But it all goes out to Matt Peart. It's all about, do you think that he can be a full-time starter at that right tackle spot? If not, I mean, Rashawn Slater is a starting offensive tackle, and you might have to take, I mean, you might not have to take him, but I would understand if we took Rashawn Slater because that's a plug and play. With that point, we have 2 solid pass protecting tackles at the least. But I do think that a weapon is a lot bigger of a need than the offensive line. I think that we can kind of plug in a serviceable veteran at right tackle if Matt Peart isn't ready.
And I think the reason we think that, and it's very much based in logic, it's because we have dudes that we still don't know how they're going to do yet once they have some legit time to prepare in the offseason and once they hit their second year. Obviously, I'm talking about Matt Parrott here on the line versus on the receiving core. We don't have somebody like a Matt Parrott there who, for some reason, maybe didn't see starting time, or we don't have the confidence that he could be something, right? It's just that we have a guy there that we're like, let's take our time and see what happens. We don't have that guy there on the receiving core right now.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, Rashad Bateman, I think, could be that guy. The top 3 wide receivers can be that guy. Maybe Kyle Pitts can be that guy. But besides Evan Ingram's speed, the Giants didn't have anyone that scared defensive coordinators after Saquon went out. I think Sterling Shepard is a good number 2 receiver, which, I mean, people are saying that the Giants are going to take all of these receivers. But the more and more I think about it, I don't really think that they're going to go out and attack to try to get 2 starting, number 1 and number 2 receivers. I just don't see it. But I really think that the Giants need to establish that number 1 receiver, whether it be a slot receiver, wherever it is, a number 1 option that we can pass to, because someone has to take the pressure off of Saquon. But I'll let you respond to that after I get to this super chat. Shout out to Max Webster. First off, he just dropped his first episode of his podcast. Second. His first one was him. This is his second episode of his podcast with Bobby Skinner. Really great interview. He's diving into these Giants YouTubers, and he's eventually going to expand. Really great stuff. He's really low on the subscribers right now, so I want to shout him out and get him as many subscribers as possible because he's making great content. But thanks for the $5 super chat. What's good, fellas? Diggy and Hub, both great content creators. Diggy, thanks for stopping by today. And Hub, you keep doing you. Don't listen to the haters. I mean, that's self-explanatory right there. Like I said, shout out to him. Go definitely sub to his channel. He's going to have all of your favorite Giants YouTubers, and you'll get to learn a little bit more about him.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot, Max. He dropped a second episode today. He's going to be getting into basically every content creator. It's not really going to be a Giants specific, but it's going to be more like getting to know these guys, which is a very interesting concept. And Max has put a lot of work into it, guys. Go over there and check it out.
Yeah. But how do you feel about, getting that receiver to take that pressure off of Saquon?
Oh, I think we definitely need it, right? Like, even we don't need like the most explosive guy to take the pressure off of Saquon. We just need somebody that could actually prevent defenses from just going 9 in the box like the Steelers did all game week 1, and we'll be fine, right? Like, we just need to have literally just a small bit of space, just a little comfort zone, so some type of running lane can develop, and that's just going to be a good receiver. We 100% need it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, doesn't necessarily need to be an explosive guy. As long as it's somebody that could just make the defenses commit to them, then we're set.
I mean, I'm going to kind of disagree because I think it needs to be an explosive guy. I think it needs to be someone who at any second can take it to the house. I say that because when Odell was here, Saquon had a bunch of running lanes with a horrible offensive line. And do you think that the Steelers can come in and rush 9 every play and play cover 1 and cover 0 every play if we have a receiver that can in any second, score? I think Bateman, I think all of the top receivers can do that. I think even Terrace Marshall can do that.
I think maybe you're misunderstanding what I'm saying by explosive receiver. Then I mean a speedster. Like, for example, I don't consider Jamar Chase a speedster, but he could score like at any time that he's on the field, which goes to what you were saying. Yeah, we need somebody that could score at any time. But what I meant is somebody that's just a speed guy. You know what I'm saying? We don't necessarily need that.
Exactly. But one good point, though, I mean, just physics and just how things work. I think Fireside Giants brought this up in one of their videos. If you take someone like Jalen Waddle who can run a 4.2, if they're going to play cover 0, it just doesn't work. You can't play cover 1 against, we can't play cover 1 and cover 0, meaning you're blitzing a whole bunch of people. You have one safety or no safeties deep. You can't do that against someone who runs a 4.2 because you just can't keep up with them. So that's going to make things a lot easier for Saquon. So I think I definitely understand what you're saying. Any kind of receiver that can be a threat is going to help Saquon immensely. But getting someone like Jalen Waddle, that just changes the coverages that people can play in general.
Mm-hmm.
which Giants player would I fight? It'd probably be Evan Ingram because he has no hands. That's easy.
Yeah, that's an easy dub right there against Ingram, man.
It's just butter slide. I mean, listen, some cold butter can probably hurt, but I feel like his hands are melted butter.
You know who I wouldn't though? Probably not Nick Gates.
Yeah, Nick Gates doesn't play. Joe Judge probably. Joe Judge looks like he won a whole bunch of Golden Gloves.
I mean, Judge apparently he did against Colombo. So
exactly. That was the best rumor, man. That was the best.
Yeah, it was legit. Like, yo, listen, man, there was a straight up boxing match. They were just geeking on each other, and that's what happened.
They said apparently Colombo got the best of Judge, and Joe Judge got off the ground and fired. I'm like, yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. That doesn't sound like Judge, man. He if anything, I'd probably pick him. You know, you saw that picture floating around back when he was in college, and he was, you know, a football player, and he was holding up two guys.
He was holding up like 5 people.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'd probably take Judge.
That's literally how he carried this team on his back with this horrible roster. But shout out to Joe Yotto. He says if DJ has no time to throw and they're going to blitz all day long. I understand what you're saying, but part of why they were able to blitz us, even beyond the offensive line, we had a lot of times where the offensive line did well when they rushed 4 or even 5. But when they continually blitz and blitz and blitz, of course your guy is going to get pressured. He's just going to get pressured. So if we have receivers that can get open on these quick routes, that slows everything down. Sterling Shepard is the only guy who was able to do that. If we have someone like a Jalen Waddle or even a Bateman or a Jamar Chase that as soon as the play starts, they're open, that's going to change a lot, and they're going to, not really be able to blitz you much.
Mm-hmm.
I
was just gonna say to add on to that, and I see that Joel commented, we definitely need our secondary blockers to improve as well. Like he said, Saquon is not exactly the best pass protector. That's the worst part of his game, like by far. He cannot block for anything when it comes.
Yes, Saquon has got to fix that. He's too big to be shying away and letting these linebackers run into him. Mm-hmm. He's got to really meet them at the line because he shouldn't be getting ran over by safety.
He's built like a bruising back, but he runs like an agile back, right? And I made a video about this maybe a year ago where I was like, this is a smart decision on Saquon. Like, obviously that he was developing since all the way back in high school because agile running backs just last longer. They're not taking those heavy hits. And I'm guessing that was definitely some part into him developing his game. But now we're seeing it coming through in the block, and I'm like, no.
You got to block, man.
You got to use the muscle you got to block for your quarterback, man. Like, you hold Penn State weightlifting records. All right, now perform like you do.
It's like Jamar Chase. If you see him, that's my only criticism on Jamar Chase. If you see him in the run game, he's not going to block. He's really, and that's one thing that might be a con here that might not get him drafted if he were available. But Jamar Chase as a receiver can kind of live with a receiver that doesn't want to block, but you cannot live with someone who's around the line of scrimmage that doesn't want to block for your quarterback. Mm-hmm. But kind of a transition as far as blocking. AJ Marshall is saying, how do you feel about Rob Sale? I'll let you give your opinion first.
You know what? I'm trusting it. I want to say I like it, but we don't know anything about it. Yeah, kind of like the Jeremy Pruitt hire. I'm just like, I'm trusting it. You can see the connection, right? With Pruitt, that's our second Tennessee coach on there now. There is such thing as coaching chemistry, and I think him and Kevin Sherr are going to have a good time. And then now with Robert Sale, you see the connection from back in Bama. He was there. Shout out to Nate, by the way. He was there in Bama with Judge back then. And then Kevin Sherr has a lot of offensive line experience, but also good amount of offensive coordinator experience, which I brought up in my video about him. I'm like, hey, yo, we have now Rob Sale, former offensive coordinator, Freddie Kitchens, former offensive coordinator, Jerry Saplinski, somebody that has the potential to be an offensive coordinator, and Tyke Tolbert, somebody that was actually being interviewed to be an offensive coordinator.
He was.
We have 4 dudes on this roster that could, potentially, because that's the way it's looking. If somehow, some way Garrett leaves, 4 dudes that could replace him right there. But as an offensive line coach, I mean, all I've heard is good things from the Raging Cajuns fans, with how they're happy with it. So, I mean, I'm going to see how it goes because so far there hasn't been a college hiring on this staff that hasn't worked out.
Yeah, I mean, I like the hire. I'm a fan of bringing college coaches into the NFL at the assistant coach level. I'm a little wary of it at the head coaching level, but at the assistant coach level, I think it's a good thing because they're better teachers and they're working with smaller groups so they can really teach. And like you were saying, he's an offensive coordinator. and he really, he matches the mindset of Joe Judge. He's a hard-nosed kind of guy. He's run the football, and I mean, I might not agree with a run-first team, but it seems like what Joe Judge's identity is, or at least someone who can run it, when we need to run it. But Nate, I'm going to send you a link. You can jump in if you want, but I'll send it right now. You can jump in. But yeah, I like the Rob Sale hire. I think it's a solid hire. And
do you think Judge is playing like 4D chess by having all 4 dudes here that like, or you think that's just a coincidence?
I think he does like that experience around him. And one thing I appreciate about Joe Judge is, he'll go out and flat out say that he's trying to have people around him that can help him, that he can lean on with that experience. So maybe he's bringing him in there so he can learn to be a better, offensive coach, because don't be surprised if one day you just see Joe Judge out there calling plays. But I think the Rob Sale hire was solid. And there was one other point I wanted to get back to, but I can't remember it.
Did it have to do with Saquon? Because we started with him.
We're talking about Saquon
and blocking. And Joey Yada brings up something I want to shift it into, which is why of one of the many reasons I don't want to cut Shepard is because he's our best wide receiver when it comes to blocking, let alone, in my opinion, he's currently our best wide receiver as a wide receiver. But he's really good when it comes to blocking. Yeah,
he's a dominant blocker. And that's another thing about not actually someone I've covered so far, but a receiver that's dropping on my channel. I'm going to drop a film session. This is getting a little late today, so it might be tomorrow, on Amon-Ra St. Brown out of USC.
Yo,
he is a dominant.
I love him. And at first, I loved him just because he got the Egyptian god name, bro, Amon-Ra. I was like, oh, my God, that is strong. But he's a good receiver, too.
Oh, yeah, one thing before we continue on him. I wanted to say that Fisk actually said this, that he might have been bringing in Rob Sale to compete, to be that offensive coordinator if Jason Garrett goes belly up. That might also be something that he's doing.
I mean, yeah, that's exactly what I was implying in my vid too and just now. But it's like, that's why I'm like, I don't think it's a coincidence that you got 4 legitimate guys that can step up and take the job if Jason Garrett doesn't work out.
But yeah, back to Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'll go ahead and give my kind of profile about him, and you can give yours. That's why I wanted to get Nate in here too, because I know he does a lot of scouting, but we'll get him on eventually. He's a little busy today. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's 6'1". He's about 190 something, but he plays so physical. He shrugs tacklers off of him. He's so physical in the running game. He's good after the catch. He's elusive. He's strong. I mean, there's a lot to like about him. He can also go up and get the ball. So, I mean, there's really a lot to like about him. I just don't think he's on that elite level, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes at the end of the first round with, when I really look at his tape.
I completely agree. I think he's going to be more of a second-round player, though, probably. It all depends on how much just teams end up taking receivers. Like, remember the 2014 draft where it seemed like every single team took a receiver. So it really does depend on that. But I'll say this. He was very entertaining to watch when you look at him, right? 6'1", I think 195 or something. He got a good build. Like he got a good build with the height, which is like at that height, Devontae Smith is also around 6'1". Yeah. He's 175. Like, that's my only thing with Smith, right? I don't want to shift it completely, but there's a reason I'm concerned when you're like 20 pounds underweight at that height, bro.
30. 30? The thing is, I mean, he's listed at 175. That picture that he took where he did that sponsorship.
Yo, I retweeted it too.
He's like 160. He's 160. Because I'm like 6 feet. And I mean, I'm not the biggest person. I'm not really the, biggest, strongest person. I mean, he can't be 175. There's no way.
I'm like 6'2", maybe 6'3" sometimes because, you go to like different doctors, they give you different heights. I'm going to say I'm like 6'2", and I'm like 230, bro. I'm like, I don't even look 230. I've had people tell me that. This guy does not look like 175. Yeah.
I mean, there's no way he's 175. I think he's around 160 something. And I mean, he's probably going to try to bulk up. Some people compared him to CeeDee Lamb, who was around 170 something coming out. But by the time he played for the Cowboys, he was like 190 something.
And I'm going to be honest with you, CeeDee still looks undersized sometimes. Sometimes I look at him on film, like he still looks small.
But I don't think he dealt with any injuries, and he played in the slot, took a lot of hits, and he kept getting back up. And I mean, Devontae Smith, that's literally the only con about him. And then the fact that people think that he can't be a speedster, but I see different things on the field.
Mm-hmm. And to kind of get back to St. Brown real quick, other than him being entertaining to watch, the reason I say that is because, and you brought this up too, he can attack the football well going up at the point, to catch it. I won't say he has a wide catch radius, but to not say that also feels like I'm discrediting him. Like he catches most of the balls thrown his way. He can be a bit acrobatic sometimes. Like if I'm being honest with you, he kind of had I don't know if I'll come and say that like he has. I'm about to respond to that. I don't know if I could straight up say he has a 100% catch radius, but like he's a pretty complete wide receiver, if that makes any sense. Like there's nothing that stands out to me that says there's a deficiency. It's just a matter of he's just on a medium talent level.
Exactly. To me, I just see every single thing that I see in Jamar Chase, except the light version and the
great value version.
As far as the jumping up and getting the ball, he's like 2 steps below. But everything else, I would say he's just a step below, which is a solid receiver, and we see that kind of receiver succeed all the time in the NFL.
I do want to say I didn't have anything in there. I think my dad did. And shout out to Glock Roach. Yeah, this guy you guys need to check out. He's just funny on Twitter. Yeah. He's just funny. But I am feeling better, bro. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, he changes his name like every couple of days. It's like Glock Roach.
I remember when he first had it, it was actually a roach with a Glock as his profile picture too.
Yeah. And then Jeff Joe is saying, can someone explain what Garrett is good at? I mean, I would say
Joel said it right there.
Clap. Yeah, he's the best clapper in the entire league by far. But something else I think he's good at.
I heard a rumor, by the way, Diggy, that he only has clap on, clap off lights in his house. I don't know, man. Sources say that might be true.
I think that might be true because he has to get prepared for the game. But I guess one thing that I will say, if they tell you, say something nice about this person that you hate when they try to diffuse situations. One thing that I think he's good at is the Giants were the best in short yardage that they have been in literally 12 years.
Wow, really? That's long.
Not by stats, but just from my eye test. I mean,
okay.
They look like, I might be wrong, but it seems like in 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, we more than not, we pick those yards up. Now, as far as the big plays, we lacked them because we didn't take any shots and we didn't have a dynamic running back that was going to turn those short runs into long plays. And I think that's the biggest, deficiency in this offense is that we don't create big plays. We play the – I'll let you – I just want to get this point out. We play the game that is we want to have 15-play drives in a league where we have people scoring in 3 or 4 plays.
I agree with you, and that's a pretty good description of the kind of offense we had this past year. And to add on to that, I admit I kind of struggle when I'm trying to think of what is Garrett good at, and then taking on that mindset of, man, I got to say something nice about the guy I hate. I'll say this. We were really good on first down. We weren't that good on 2nd or 3rd, but we were probably one of the best teams on first down.
Yeah.
So, there you go. That's something.
Yeah, we were always in a 3rd and manageable. And I think that actually helped Daniel Jones a lot, is that we were in a lot of 3rd and 3s and 3rd and 4s. The only thing is, you have a quarterback who you think might be accident prone, so you don't take the big shots. But if you don't take those big shots, you have more chances for him to turn the ball over. Mm-hmm. So there's a philosophy.
Do you think that's why Daniel basically cut his his not turnovers, but his fumbles were basically kind of cut in half, right? Do you think that's why? Because he was getting the ball out quicker to shorter routes?
I don't think so. I think that's part of it. I also think
you think he just improved as himself?
Because there's a lot of times, especially in the Cardinals game and the Baltimore game, the way the shots that he took in those games, you're just like, okay, when he gets hit, you're like, the ball has to be 10 yards behind him and they're probably going to score, but that didn't happen. So I think he got better. And the offense helped a little bit because he wasn't holding on to it, waiting for something to get open downfield, but it also took away the big plays.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather turnovers than the big plays because at least we can score 25 a game.
I completely agree. And by the way, Diggy, do you have your Diggy merch on right now? Is that a Diggy sweater?
Yeah. This is why.
Check it out.
I have a funny story about this. I really do. I started my merch up probably about 2 months ago, and I ordered myself some merch to test out, before I posted it and everything. And it took forever. And then I just get something saying like your package is lost. So they're saying my package is lost. So I order another one. Did they
refund you? Okay, I was about to say.
I order another one, and this one comes. And then literally a month later, my package that was lost shows up at my door. So for everybody that sees me like always wearing this shirt, always this red hoodie, it's because I literally have two of these.
I got a similar one. And shout out to Wayne Essen in the chat. He's like, he likes the Wayne Train shirt. That's my merch. You could go check it out on over on me. But Diggy, I'm sure he has his link down below. Go over there, support the bro. I got a funny story, not about this one, but the other one that's like the future to franchise, which I'm probably gonna take off stores now because the players on there like probably won't, like, at least one of them maybe won't be here next year in terms of I had their helmets on there. But it's the same thing. I ordered one shirt. It originally said that it was lost, and I was about to cancel it. It shows up the next day, and it came with two shirts. So I was like, huh? I ended up giving away the second one to OGR, who's a great supporter of the channel, and who was at one point a Giants YouTuber. But yeah, I was just like, okay, I got a free shirt.
Yeah, I mean, Teespring, I apologize in advance if you ever order any merch from me and it's taking forever. It's not because I'm doing anything shady. It's because Teespring is a little special. But AJ Marshall brings up a good point too. Kyler Fackrell is someone that I want to bring back. I think we'll be able to get him at a good price, and I think he was consistently productive for us.
Kyler Fackrell, I'm keeping it real with you. I haven't even thought about Kyler Fackrell at all. Maybe I should have. I mean, yeah, sure, why not? If he's coming back, I don't know what we gave him, $3 million the last year,
$3 or $4 million.
So if we give him $3 million again, if we got the space, sure, why not? I mean, I want to say the first half, because he basically missed like the second half of the season, right? So like the first half, he wasn't that bad. And I always remember the pick six against Dak.
And I think a fumble return for a touchdown too.
Exactly. So it's like he makes play. You know what that reminds me of? But this person does it more, and this is why I got such high hopes for him. Tate Crowder. Every time Tate Crowder was out on the field, there's not one thing I could point out and say, oh, he's consistently really good at tackling, or he's consistently really good in coverage. Nah, the one thing I can point out about Crowder is that he's consistently making some type of play. Like his first start against Dallas, he almost got a pick. His second start, he got the fumble recovery for a touchdown. He's, in every game he's in, he makes a play or almost makes a play, which is why I kind of have high hopes for him. But on Fackrell, I wouldn't mind if we re-sign him. Wouldn't mind if we don't re-sign him.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Like I said, there's a lot of edge rushers that maybe are underrated that can come in and be productive for you, especially if we're as dominant as we usually are in the front seven. Like if we in the front three, pretty much. If we bring back Tomlinson and Leonard Williams, or we go out and draft a replacement for Tomlinson and he's dominant, it's going to make things a lot easier for those edge rushers. So I'm definitely for,
and that's why Diggy. That's exactly why I'm like, if we can just get the line back, I am comfortable rolling in without a legit edge rusher again, because I think we could survive without one.
Exactly. And Lorenzo Carter was looking good before he got hurt. He was looking like he could be someone who could at least get you like 7-8 sacks. And those are game changers over a season.
I completely agree. You know who Carter reminded me before the season started? And I had a vid out on him saying Lorenzo will break out this year. If he stayed healthy, I was like, man, maybe he actually could have broken out. But I made that vid because he reminded me of Leonard Williams also in the 2019 season. Both of them were just guys that were so close yet so far. And I'm like, if Carter can tap into that, he could be a good outside linebacker for us. And it seemed like he was tapping into that. I didn't see it for Leo at all, and Leo did tap into it. But hopefully he comes back healthy, and we could see that.
Yeah. I just gave Sunday a mod. That's because she's the best moderator I've seen in the Giants community. No offense to anybody else, but she's the best mod I've seen in the community. But I definitely would be open to bringing back Fackrell. I definitely think so. I definitely think even if he's the third guy behind Carter, I'm definitely open to that. But and then I also agree with Max here. Cam Fleming, for as much hate as he got, he started most of the games, and we weren't. We usually weren't getting destroyed.
He wasn't terrible. If we're going to be honest here, right? He wasn't terrible. The whole reason this man got hate is because people just want to see Pert more. It wasn't necessarily something that he did. Like his worst game was Dallas, for obvious reasons. But outside of that, he wasn't terrible. And we need the tackle depth, like we were saying earlier. We don't know who's going to be the right tackle yet. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Fleming was solid pretty much. Then he was league average, and if that's your backup, then that's that's something serious.
And I agree also with what TSV said earlier. He was like, patience. Barkley is going to be a monster when healthy. We need him. He'll make everyone better. I agree with that, which is why I'm like, yo, get Barkley back. We were talking about people wanting Shepard gone. There's people who want Barkley gone. I'm like, when he comes back and he's healthy and he absolutely blows the league away, bro, y'all are going to just love him again.
Yeah. I mean, people are saying to cut Saquon right now. There's no benefit to that at all. There's literally no benefit to that at all. Just like the people saying to cut Sterling Shepard. I made a video yesterday saying, should the Giants cut Sterling Shepard? And I just made the mistake of thinking that people actually watch your videos when you upload something. Everyone just responded to the title and was saying, like, are you crazy? Why do you want to cut Sterling Shepard? My entire video was telling why we should keep him. But
yeah, people don't. Some people don't watch the vids anymore, bro. They just read the title and comment
and just get mad at you.
Like my Super Bowl reaction, bro. I had my vid up on that for the first like minute, 2 minutes. I was like, I was talking about how I didn't like some of the calls the refs made, and somebody commented, "Chiefs lost Super Bowl. Stop being a sore loser," or something like that. I'm like, yo, did you watch the end? Literally, the last 2 minutes is me saying, even without that, they just got outplayed by the Bucs. Like the Bucs would have won that game no matter what.
Yeah, people don't. I mean, I could see if it was something like I say at the very end, but if it's something my entire topic of the video is about, that's different. But yeah, I mean, Sterling Shepard is coming back. In my opinion, I think Sterling Shepard. I'll ask you this after I give my kind of opinion. I think the Giants are going to bring in one kind of big receiver, and then maybe someone. Big. When I say big, I don't mean physically. I mean like if the Giants sign Kenny Golladay, I just don't think they're going to take a receiver in round one unless something really falls to them, like something like we might even be mad because they might pass on Waddle if they take that huge receiver in free agency. I just think that they believe that Sterling Shepard can be your number 2 receiver, and I think they believe in Darius Slayton because remember he was injured last year too.
Here's the thing.
We might end up going in the next season like that.
And me and Fisk have been going back and forth, both on and off Twitter with this. Sterling Shepard right now, as of February 10th with the receivers we have on the roster, he's our best receiver. That's not me saying he's our number 1 receiver. No, that's me saying he's the best receiver we got right now.
Exactly.
And there's no reason to cut him. Is he getting overpaid? Maybe. Restructure the contract. It's really that simple. I think Shepard looks like a guy that wants to be with the Giants. He'd probably be down for a restructure, right? Some people seem to think I'm saying Shepard is like a top 10 receiver. No, he's a really good receiver. He's underrated, in fact. And he's gonna be your perfect number 2 if you get a good number 1. That's what I've always been saying, which is why I don't get why people want to cut him.
Yeah, I think
he's gonna be an amazing number 2 if we get a legit number 1.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if that deal agrees with you, Sterling Shepard is a really good number 2. I mean, he cannot be covered one-on-one consistently unless he's like when we played against Ramsey. I think he might have been injured that game, but when we played against Marlon Humphrey and the Ravens. And when we played against Patrick Peterson, Sterling Shepard disappeared. But what do you expect? Like, he's not going to go out and beat the elite corners, the elite top number 1 corners in the league. But if he's your number 2 receiver, he's going to be able to really do work just like he was. I mean, the years where we had Odell and Shepard, Shep was getting like 100 yards, like 4 or 5 times a season.
This is why I think that some people that want to cut him, I feel like they have in their head he's a number 1 or he's supposed to be number 1. And because they have that, if he was a number 1, yes, he'd be a bad number 1. But he's not. He's a number 2. That's why you don't cut him. That's why you keep him. Exactly. Restructure the contract. Which, you know what, I am going to say, it definitely needs to be restructured at this point, right? Yeah. But, he's going to do wonders with Saquon healthy. And I feel we are going to get some type of number 1, whether it's in the draft or free agency this year. He's going to be legit next year.
Yeah, I think we can restructure, but I also am someone I just talked about the cap earlier. I'm also someone who feels like he might not even be overpaid for a number 2 receiver. I pulled up the cap hits, and he's 25th in cap hit, and then he's like 29th in base salary, and I think that's about right. I mean, if receivers are getting paid $25 million and $20 million, I think $9 million is kind of fair for him. But I mean, he still probably is a candidate for restructure just because of
and by restructure. And you brought this up to me, by the way. Yeah, I'm like, it doesn't necessarily mean pay cut. You were the person that brought it up to me, and I was like, that's what I had as my definition of restructure, and you were absolutely right. It could just mean shifting that money a little bit.
Exactly. But Lil Sag, too, we already addressed that, but you probably weren't in here yet. Orlando Brown, I'm not really a fan of trading for him because we have a young tackle, and we would have to give up a first-round pick this year. And we would have to turn around the next year and pay him $20 million. So I'm not really a fan of the Orlando Brown trade.
Oh yeah, by the way, today was it today or yesterday was Saquon's birthday? But happy birthday to Saquon. I think it was today.
That was yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
Can't remember. Yeah. I know him and Logan Ryan have the same birthday. The only thing that would be funnier is if Darius Slayton and Logan Ryan had the same birthday, and it was on the same day as my birthday.
And I was about to say if all three of y'all had it.
Exactly. But B-Max says Shep disappeared for 8 games in the middle of the season. Yeah, he did have the turf toe. He did have that, which is one reason why he probably wasn't as good. But, I mean, just as I was saying, when he plays against those number one corners, he's going to have issues.
Because he's not a number one. Like, that's just a fact. He's a number 2.
So Done Deal asked this question. He's still on his Super Bowl high of the Bucs winning the Super Bowl. But he said, what do y'all think you need to become competitive?
Oh, he's talking about the Giants?
No, yeah, the Giants. Yeah, what do you think we need to be that team that can be competitive in the playoffs this year?
If I'm be honest, figure out that right tackle, which may or may not already be on the roster. Like, if it is, then it's probably going to be Matt Pert. So figure out that right tackle, get a legit number 1, and get a number 2 corner, and I think we really can be competitive. I'm not saying compete for Super Bowl. I'm talking, competitive as in make the playoffs maybe. I think those 3 things, which are not 3 easy things to fix, by the way, and they're 3 big things, I think that's where that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say I think the cornerback, too, is kind of an overrated need. I think we might be able to get away with, kind of what we had there. I think that, we need a playmaker on offense, which we kind of already get, and Saquon coming back. And then another playmaker and the receiver, in that kind of level. And then bringing them back to defense. I mean, I think we're just really a playmaker away. And then, as you said, that right tackle spot, if Parrott can step up, that'll be great. If it's someone like Slater, that'll be cool. But
the reason I think that the number 2 spot is really important in terms of corner is because when you're going to play good teams, they're going to have more than one good receivers. And we got killed by not number 1 receivers. We got killed by number 2 and even number 3 receivers this year. That's why I was like, when you start to be competitive, you start playing those good teams, you're going to need somebody reliable there.
Yeah, definitely. I was more thinking of like making the playoffs. I think this team is a playoff team with a playmaker. And I think if you add that number 2 corner, that's when they really are like. That's
when they're competing for something bigger.
Yeah, that's when they're really going, thinking about going deep into the playoffs. And at that point, it's all on Daniel Jones. It's like how well he's playing is,
By the way, Mike Nixon hopping on the jokes with his super chat.
Yeah, let me get the super chat out the way. Shout out to Mike Nixon for the $10 super chat. Question for Logan Ryan Jr. How many picks you aiming for this year? Also, question for Darius Slayton Jr. How many yards are you going to have this year? By the way, thanks for the mod, Diggy. No problem for a mod. I see you usually in my streams. Definitely, wanted to give you that mod, but I think Logan Ryan Jr., I mean, me being Logan Ryan Jr., I'm aiming for about 5 or 6 picks this year. I'm going to be right in the middle
from a free safety position?
Right in the middle of the defense. I think he's going to play more of that robber role that he played this year because Julian Love was playing that deep safety. And I think McKinney will play that deep safety next year. So I think with Logan Ryan in the middle of the defense able to roam around, I think he's going to get about 5 or 6 picks. And then with Darius Slayton, it all depends. I mean, if we bring in Kenny Golladay and Jamar Chase and Jalen Waddle and Sterling Shepard is there.
Wait, you said Jamar Chase and Jalen Waddle?
No, I was saying because I don't think Jamar Chase will get there now because everybody else is starting to see the light. But if we bring in someone like Golladay.
It doesn't even have to be Golladay. If you bring in somebody like Curtis Samuel
and Watt,
he gets pushed back.
And that'd be crazy if we have Curtis Samuel and Jalen Waddle and Darius Slayton is your third fastest receiver, first off, that's ridiculous.
And by the way, yeah, people underestimate Sam. It's not like he's super fast, but he's one of the top 25 fastest receivers
He's
in
low
the
four
league.
threes. He's low four
Yeah.
threes. So if we have two receivers that we bring in that we think are a 1 and 2, and Shep slides the 3, and that makes Darius Slayton your 4.
That's amazing.
You're thinking at about 400 or 500 yards if Daniel Jones has a great season. If not, then he's going to be, somewhere between 300 and 400 yards.
Exactly. Oh, Jeff Zah has an interesting one.
Let me see. Throw that up there. Okay. If we miss the playoffs next season, do we start to rebuild all over again? Jones gone, Gettleman gone, or do we give them more time? Okay, so
this is a really good one.
Yeah, I'll let you respond first.
Because here's the thing, right? I'm gonna give you what I think win-wise we should be this year based off of what we saw this last season. Win-wise, we should be better than 6-10 because we probably should have been better than 6-10 this season. But win-wise, we should legitimately be better than 500, right? Like, so I'm saying 9 wins at the least, right? Maybe that's a bit high. Yeah, it is an easier schedule too, right? And with that week 17 opponent as well, because they might go 17 weeks this year, and with the 7th seed, like, it kind of makes it easier to get into the playoffs a little bit. We'll see how it goes, but I think we should be a 9-win team right around there. Whether or not that gets into the playoffs, that's where it gets tough, right? Because if you have a good season and you miss the playoffs, you're obviously not going to blow it up. A 9-7 season, or in this case, a 9-8 one, man, that 17 game really throws me into a loop. Because obviously 9-8 is definitely worse than 9-7, when you think about it. But like, yeah, we should be around 9 wins. And if we're say like even a 10-win team and we miss the playoffs, I'm not gonna blow it up, right? So yeah, I'm kind of looking at it from a win standpoint at this point.
Yeah, if we win 10 games and we miss the playoffs, you can't really blow everything up. One thing I think though, where the Giants are kind of a lose-lose situation, if Dave Gettleman, I feel like when you bring in that new head coach, it needs to be with a new general manager, because you become in a situation where Dave Gettleman is here for 4 years and Joe Judge is on his 2nd year. So they're really not, the blame is going to be cast on the Gettleman. But what if Joe Judge next year isn't a good coach? So you don't really know what the issue is. That's why you bring them in at the same time and you can rebuild at the same time. Everybody's on different timelines. Gettleman, Daniel Jones, Joe Judge. So it makes it tough to really blow things up. But I think if at the end of this year, if the Giants are 6 wins or 5 wins or even 7 wins, Daniel Jones is going to get a lot of the blame. I'm holding him accountable. You've seen,
we all are. Yeah, 3rd year.
Exactly. You've seen me defend DJ, and Fisk Vegas has said this too. We've defended DJ tooth and nail. But in your 3rd year, you're not a kid anymore. It's up to you to elevate your team. And if he's not doing that, at that point, you got to think about, what other direction we could go into, especially if the defense is still playing crazy. You might look at veterans.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree. And with me, you, Fisk, KB, Tana, other guys, like a good amount of people in the Giants community, actually, we've all defended DJ tooth and nail, but I am of that same opinion. 3rd year, and I've always said this for every players, and of course you could find exceptions to it, but for the most part, 3rd year NFL players, that's what they're going to be for the rest of their career, in my opinion. The 1st and 2nd year, anything can happen, but that 3rd year, I feel, is like when they really level it out, and we're going to see what they are. And listen, if it comes down to where DJ has similar situations like he did last year and he can't capitalize, for example, like he had a chance to win against the Rams, he had a chance to drive and win against the Cowboys. If it comes down to that, he can't do it. He's at that point in his 3rd year, not the guy for me. It
just shows you. Even if he does prove that he's a starter, but he has something like 3,018 touchdowns or something. You just have to see something that shows you that this guy can eventually win you a Super Bowl. But I'll say this: if the defense looks the same and the receivers, despite Daniel Jones, if he's bad next year, if they look great and Saquon looks great, then I'm not blowing it up. Gettleman might leave, but I'm not blowing it up because Gettleman would have made the quarterback mistake. But I'm not blowing it up. I'm going out and getting a veteran quarterback, because that means that if everything gets better but Daniel Jones, that means that we can compete. really compete if we get a veteran in there that can win.
Exactly. And you know what? I haven't even thought about that. Can you imagine how interesting it would be? And I don't want this to be because I do want Jones to succeed, but can you imagine how interesting it would be? Say like 2 years from now, we're standing here and the Giants are literally the Indianapolis Colts. We have an amazing defense.
Exactly.
We have a pretty good O-line. And in this case, we have probably a better wide receiving core than them. Say 2 years from now, everything goes right. But we're just a veteran quarterback away. That would be kind of weird.
And Tom Brady comes to the Giants. There we go. And Tom Brady comes to the Giants and wins his 10th Super Bowl.
Yeah, man. He's gonna have a robot arm.
I wouldn't blow it up if you mean the entire team, but I would look at DJ. Really look at trying to improve that position.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see what else we have. McKinney, I'm definitely interested in. B-Mac is talking about the offensive coordinator. At this point, I just think we just have to wait and see. How much, if you give me a percentage for how confident you are in Jason Garrett, what would you say your percentage is?
I'm still this season. I'm still like, wow, that's a weird one percentage. You know what? I'll still say 60-65. I'm not completely out on him yet because he has like a lot of legit reasons for not having the greatest offense last year. So I'll say 60-65.
I'll go 45%. I say this because I think that if we get someone like Jalen Waddle and, another receiver, I think he can only be so bad in the passing game. And I know at the very least he'll be able to really, be able to run the ball. But it's almost like Jason Garrett is a bridge quarterback. It's like he's a bridge offensive coordinator where, we were 31st. So I was going to say you can't be horrible, but he's not going to be someone who's going to have a turnover-prone offense.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he's not really going to give you that next level, like, big brain, creative play calling. We're never going to get that from him. So I'm thinking our ceiling, unless DJ just becomes Patrick Mahomes, our ceiling is probably like number 11. Number 11 offense, number 10 offense, unless DJ really takes a huge step forward and we give him like 3 new receivers. I just can't see it being a crazy offense.
And I want to say real quick, I feel sorry for Golden Tate because Giants fans hate Golden Tate right now, bro. Like, I don't know. Some of it you could say is justified. Some of it really isn't. Like, for example, he just posted, and it is late, but he posted a belated birthday wishes to Saquon and Sterling Shepard. And he forgot to include Logan Ryan, and they're just roasting him in the comments, bro. They're absolutely going for this man's neck. One of them says you're late, kind of like you're route running. Another one says this guy can't even get his teammate's birthday right. the other one says you're not even gonna be here next season, bro. Like, yo, like chill out, man.
Yeah, I saw Golden Tate just saying like one of those cryptic NFL player messages where they're like, "I'm ready for next season," and they're like, "You won't be here." But I feel bad for Golden Tate. I mean, he was kind of a victim. He was used he wasn't used
like it wasn't his fault that like the offense just did not involve him at all.
It's like if you told Michael Thomas to run all streaks.
Mm-hmm.
Like Michael Thomas is running streaks all day. Like we just didn't use Golden Tate the right way and he got blamed. I mean, the only thing he did wrong was go out there and complain in the camera and have his wife complain.
Yeah, that's not even him. Like,
exactly.
That's why when it first happened, I was like, guys, I'm actually on Golden Tate's side. What he's saying is right. We are not using him.
Yeah.
He's literally like a stick out there. The man, he has reason to be a little bit upset that he's not getting the ball thrown his way. Where I disagree wasn't even him. It was with his wife. But I'm like, yeah, he low-key doesn't deserve everything that's coming his way right now.
And the thing is, he's probably going to go to somewhere where he's, like the third or fourth option, and they're going to know how to use him. Mm-hmm. And Giants fans are going to be like, walking back and saying like, oh, if only we knew how to use Tate, but they're right now typing hate towards him.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I try not to do. I try not to harass these players, just add them on Twitter and harass them. I mean, at the end of the day, they're still people.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I mean, he was the best contested catcher.
That's another thing, right? We didn't use him that much, and he was probably the best guy to go up there and actually get the ball.
By far. B-Mac says, can Waddle run a 6-yard stick on a 3rd and 7? And that's the one thing. I'll say Waddle, Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, all all of these top receivers are they're so good at getting down the field, and they're so twitchy that they are going to be able to run these comeback routes better. These hitch routes and these stick routes better than what we have, because first off, they're better route runners, and second off, they're also a threat to actually go deep. So we're going to see a lot more space, because we see Travis Kelce basically run the same routes that Evan Ingram runs. And he's open because he's actually a threat, to go downfield.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Listen, man, any of the top three, in my opinion, could run any route that you have them. Just go out there and run.
Yeah, those top three.
Like they all, like, all of their cons are kind of nitpicky, except for Smith's. But like all of their cons are kind of nitpicky.
Yeah, it's just like, do you think that he can hold up at one? I mean, he'll probably play at probably 180.
Yeah, I have a feeling, right? I don't know. It's like, man, that is still so skinny.
On the day of weigh-in, he's going to come out and he's going to drink like 4 jugs of water, and he'll weigh in at 180.
Remember Kyler Murray? He weighed in at 210 or something?
Kyler Murray, man, this dude measured at 5'10". There's no way that he's 5'10".
He's not. He's like 5'8", bro. Man. He's 100% 5'8".
He's the same height as Hollywood Brown, who measured at 5'8". So yeah. I know Kyler Murray, I mean, he must have put tissue paper in his shoes or something. There's no way.
They don't. Oh, I would think they just measured him barefoot to avoid.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, I think they just say, okay, we'll give you a couple of.
He slotted them a couple of bands, and they were like, okay.
Yeah, like in high school, I was literally a 5'10" small forward in high school. Well, at least when I first started, I ended up being 6 feet, but I was a 5'10" small forward in high school, and they listed me as 6'2".
Really?
They listed me as 6'2" because
but why?
Because I could dunk and I could jump high, so they just said, I guess.
No, like, does it do? I didn't play basketball, but I was on football and wrestling. So, like, does it do something?
They
like
do that a lot in high school because it helps with scouting.
Okay.
So, like, if they list you at 6'2", they're more likely to like come in and see the game. So even if they see that you're not 6'2" and you do something, you stand out, they'll probably, at least they see you.
That's interesting. I didn't know that, but yeah, with the heights for sure, and with his measurements, yeah.
There's no way to. I think Kyler Murray is like 5'8", 5'8", probably 5'7" and a half, and there's no way. They said his hair helped.
Oh, PJ, I was at 195 back in high school. I was a light 195 too, as hard as that might be to imagine.
How was that for wrestling, like having to make weight and stuff? How was that?
Oh, bro, I got a story for you, man. Making weight for your matches was something else, especially if you're somebody like me. I got a weird body type, man. I gain weight very easily, but extremely hard to lose it. I remember this one match where it was like first of all, travel time, right? You don't travel as a team, even though I always found that weird. Because my high school's wrestling team is the best in the city, and it's one of the best overall in the state. Yeah. So I was always like, I thought we would be more organized because we have this rep and like we generally do so good, right? But no, you travel to your own matches on your own. You got to figure out a way to get there. And this one place, I'm in NYC, so public transportation is how you get everywhere. It took like 2 hours to get there, bro. I was tired before I even got to the match, and you got to get there hours before the event takes place because you have to get there. You have to get settled in. You have to do your measurements, there. So like they got to measure your height, they got to measure your weight. They got to make sure that like everything is in general order. So you got to make sure your hair is at a correct length so that it won't affect you or your opponent. Got to make sure your nails are correctly trimmed, and then not trimmed, but also what do you call it? Filed down so you don't scrape somebody on accident. Wow. Like you got to do all that. So that's all why you got show up like hours early, right? I showed up, and each team generally walks with their own scale of some sort, just in case to make sure everybody's weight. I was like 2 pounds overweight, bro. And it was like 45 minutes away from like legit weigh-ins and before we actually had to go out and wrestle, bro. So I was like 2 pounds overweight. I'm like, I did not come here today. Like, I did not sign up for this match. I did not come here to embarrass both myself, my school, and my team. And once again, this is a team that has a rep, right? So I was like, nah, this is not happening. I went to my friend Yi, who I still keep in contact with today. He's in the Marines now, and he was one of our better dudes because he was very aggressive, right? I went to him like, yo, you got to help me out, bro. How am I going to make weight, my guy? How am I about to lose like 2 pounds in like 45 minutes, maybe 30? He's like, I got you. I put on like 2 hoodies, put on 2 sweatpants.
It's just ran.
Yeah, I just ran, bro. I ran straight sprinting laps, like across, because it was in that school's gym, sprinting laps, and then up and down staircases for that straight 30 minutes, bro. When I weighed in, I was like 2 pounds underweight. I was like, I really just lost. I was so tired, bro. I knocked out. Like my match was after weigh-ins, and they make sure everything. My match was probably like an hour and a half after. So like that's why it's a lot of waiting, bro. That's probably like the worst part of wrestling, but it's worth it if you're good, right? But I knocked out for that hour and a half, man. I like knocked out. Yeah. And the saddest part is I ended up losing my first match because I was so tired. I was like, damn, bro. Like, but yeah, like that's a story right there in terms of making weight and stuff. It could be stressful sometimes.
Yeah, I could never. I would never be able to wrestle. I was always like,
Joel out here spitting facts. He has spit in the glass and sweat. I used to, bro. One time for another match. There's another story. This one was at home. So at my high school, I was like, maybe I was already at weight, but it was during the day, so I didn't eat yet. And I was like, okay, if I'm at weight, you eat, you're gonna gain something. Right. So like throughout the entire day, this is gonna sound disgusting. I carried an empty water bottle with me, and all I would do is I would spit in there. By the end of the day, I had like a whole water bottle full of spit. So you could imagine how much weight that was, and that was like that's a legit strategy in wrestling. So like that's another one there too.
Yeah, I don't think I ever noticed that for people I knew that wrestled, but yeah, I mean, that was always crazy to me to try to have to, make weight. But I would never be able to do it, man, because my arms and legs are too long, and I just feel like I wouldn't be able to get low enough. I would be like Greg Rousseau out there trying to.
Well, that's why there's classes, right? For me, since I was at 195, I was too big to be. Man, I'm forgetting. I think it was either 180 or 175 was the class below us. And I was too big for that, and I was definitely undersized at the time for 220, which was the class above. Because the guys that wrestled in 220 were actually like, it's 220 and above. So you had guys like 280 wrestling in there, and I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. I got like a track story. One thing that was crazy is we had to go out and like it was like 15-degree weather, and we were running track outside. And we were there for like 5 or 6 hours, and we had to literally run. We were like, our coach kept on saying like, it's cold outside, you can't sit around. But it was literally like 2 or 3 hours before we were supposed to run.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, you can't sit around, it's cold, you're going to lock up. So we were literally jogging in like 10-degree weather for hours. So by the time I ran, I was so exhausted, and it was my first meet. It was like my first meet. So I was running a 400, and I lined up, and I ran, the gun shot off, I ran, and I was so exhausted from running the entire day. I ran, and I got all the way around, and I'm like, cool. There's only 3 people in front of me. I'm doing great. No, I said there's only 2 people in front of me. I'm doing great. And I'm running, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm like exhausted. And then I'm like, okay, there's 2 people behind me. I mean, there's 2 people in front of me. And then I'm just like, okay, wait a second. I noticed behind me, there's nobody behind me. And I'm like, okay, these 2 people in front of me, they must be like all state. They must be like about to go to the Olympics. So I'm not worried about them if they're that far ahead. I'm cool. But as I'm running and I'm getting to the last stretch, I'm like, there's nobody behind me. There was only 3 people running an entire race.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the 3rd person. And
I mean, from that same day too, by the way, it's kind of another one, but from that same day, I basically at the end of the day, I wrestled 3 matches. In my 3rd match, remember I told you the 2-hour commute, back and forth. Bro, I swear on my life, I either pulled a hamstring or something, or like strained my right hamstring because I could not walk, yo. Like my teammates had to help me walk to the bus, get on, and I had to struggle like limping home. I don't know, whatever happened during that last match. Dude had me. I forgot this move is called. He had me basically in like a full Nelson, but one of my legs is also raised all the way up, so my knee is touching my forehead, right? So like he had me in one of those, and I'm like, after the match, I was like, yo, I can't walk, bro. I pulled something, bro, and I'm like, damn, that was painful.
Yeah. Max, I'm probably not gonna be on the podcast. I got stuff I gotta finish. But yeah, I mean, I remember in high school the sports injuries in high school. You felt like you were in the league. Like I took
Yo,
basketball serious,
what's the
so
gruesome
serious in high
what's the
school.
gruesome one that either you had or a teammate had?
Okay, so one of my teammates, he was our best shooter.
Hmm.
He usually scored the most, but he usually scored because he was shooting threes, and ball was life. So we played after practice and stuff. We would go to like gyms and just play against randoms in the gyms and stuff. And like every time we played, his shoulder would literally pop out of place, and we would have to pop it back into place, and he would be crying and stuff because it was so painful. But another thing is the biggest injury that actually made me stop playing basketball in high school and kind of, just stop playing it because I really couldn't deal with it anymore. It happened when I was playing not in an actual game. I was playing at my school, just like on a blacktop. And I still can jump, but it kind of hurts coming down. But I used to just be jumping crazy out of the jump. And I went up to block somebody's shot. I jumped over them and then I tripped on them. And like when I literally tripped over, and people don't believe me when I say this, literally my shin was on the dude's shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tripped over him, I ended up landing and like my entire ankle like dislocated on top of his leg when I came back down. And
how long did it take? How long was that recovery?
I'm going to tell you in a couple seconds. When my ankle dislocated, and like he's like laughing because he just thinks like I'm over exaggerating. I'm like,
Oh, he thought you were flopping.
Yeah, he thought I was flopping because I was known to do that in actual games.
Wow. Okay then, man. Out here crying wolf.
Exactly. And it got dislocated so bad that literally my shoe broke. Literally like Zion Williamson.
Mm-hmm.
My shoe broke. And I wasn't supposed to play for like the rest of that season. And we had a playoff game, and I literally played the next day on a taped ankle in pain medicine like I was in the NBA. Like Jesus. I was literally playing in the NBA finals. I literally taped up my ankle. I mean, my coach taped up my ankle like tight enough to where I really couldn't feel it. And I was jumping out. I was literally jumping out there acting like nothing was wrong, just on adrenaline. And my ankle is still messed up. It literally hurts as I'm talking to you right now.
Bro, have you ever seen a doctor like right now?
I went to physical therapy for it. It used to be worse, but yeah, it pretty much made me stop because every time I jumped, I was in pain.
Did you what you call? What I was about to say? Can you like run on it now, or is it like
yeah, I can do everything pretty much normally. It just it's just like how people just say I got a bad back, I got a bad ankle. It's pretty much that.
Yeah, the most gruesome injury I ever saw didn't happen to me, thank God. One of my teammates on wrestling, this dude broke his collarbone during the match and still finished the match and still won, bro. Like, and it's like he didn't even realize because adrenaline, you don't realize it until afterwards. But like everybody that was watching the match heard that crack when it happened, bro. And he still went in there, he still finished it, he got the pin, he won. But like he got up and we're looking at him. And, you wear the you wear the one strap stuff. You're looking at it right under his strap right here. I'm like. We're all just like, yo, that doesn't look right, bro. There's like, it's like raised a little bit and it's a little bit discolored. It was a little bit paler than usual. We're like, yo, you should probably get that checked out, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. Joe Yotto says, high school football game, he had another team's running back. He saw it get folded backwards and paralyzed for life.
Jesus.
That is crazy. And he said he quit high school after that. I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Neither do I, man.
After that, man. That is crazy to see someone get folded up backwards and paralyzed. I've seen somebody tear their ACL. I've seen somebody pop their shoulder out, but I have never seen someone get paralyzed. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, like luckily when I was on the football team, or unluckily, depending on how you look at it, I was never good enough to make the starting lineup. So I was always like basically a career backup, right? The times I did see, the worst thing that ever happened to me is what happens to everybody. You get popped a little bit. That's it. But like the more gruesome stuff for me definitely happened in wrestling, like the hamstring. I probably dislocated maybe a couple fingers. Luckily, never a shoulder. But yeah, stuff like that.
All right. So I was listening to Max's podcast earlier today with Bobby Skinner, and Bobby Skinner was saying that he was a dirty player in high school. Were you a dirty player in the sports that you played?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, you can't really be dirty in wrestling because then you could legit kill somebody. So no, but for football, I mean, I was a running back and tight end, and as a backup, really all I had to do was make blocks. So unless you call holding dirty, maybe I was definitely out there holding people.
Yeah, everybody does that. Yeah, Max, I haven't played football since like I was in like sixth, seventh grade, so I didn't really get to play on a high level at all. My mother shut that down quick.
Hmm.
With all that CTE stuff came out, and as soon as that stuff came out, she gave me like 15 articles on it. And I was like, I don't care, I want to play, but it didn't matter. So yeah, definitely in basketball, I was doing a lot of grabbing, uh, a lot of cheap stuff. Only I was definitely doing all of that stuff.
You just gotta wait for the refs to look the other way, basically.
Yeah, that's pretty much. And the thing is, like, I learned that stuff from. I mean, rest in peace to Kobe. I learned this stuff from Kobe, watching his like defensive tutorial videos and all of that stuff. And I learned it from my teammates. My team, I feel like my entire team was like full of dirty players. Like one of my teammates, even in practice, he would literally, when he was dribbling, he would try to cross you over. He would cross you over and try to pull your shorts down. So he would try to pull your shorts down so you would hesitate so he could get past you.
Okay, that's an interesting one. Usually you always hear about the crossover with the push off, but I never heard about the crossover with the pull.
He literally pulled people's shorts down. It was crazy. I used to harass people the entire game, like elbow 'em, all of that stuff, flop, and then let's just get them ejected.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be the most hilarious thing to me. I don't know why.
Bro, because you're in the game and you're not the one suffering. It's them.
This used to be the most, because they would be like, you don't see it. It used to be hilarious. But it used to high school sports, for anybody that's in high school right now, that's like, if you're in the chat and you're scared to go out for high school sports, definitely
do it. I think even if it's not basketball or football, if you're lucky to go to like a high school that has a lot of options, like fencing, you know what I'm saying? Like fencing is very interesting, you know what I'm saying? Even tennis and badminton, some people look down on it, but it takes a lot of stamina to play in those. Like, go for it. It's always a great experience.
Yeah, high school sports are great. I mean, I got to do basketball and track. I think that's all I did in high school. But before that, I used to play soccer and football and stuff. But
was that like the thing like at your high school? Because like I know at every high school, usually if you're in one sport, you're in another, or if you're in one program, you're in another after school program. Was it like track and basketball for yours?
No, in my school, we didn't have gym. So in my city in DC where I went to high school, you had to have some kind of sports. So you would have to take a sport for a semester for it to count as a gym credit. And we needed like 5 sports credits. So we had to do 5 seasons of a sport. You got to do stuff like yoga or stuff like dancing or something if you didn't want to do a competitive sport. But I usually did track and basketball.
Okay.
But Joel had another crazy story. He said we had sewing class in high school, and one kid ran a sewing needle into his finger, and a shop class teacher loses his thumb on a grinder.
Yeah, that's back in the day right there. Man, shop class was a thing, man.
He said that's country folk have stories. Yeah,
I could never do shop class because of that.
Listen, I saw someone when I was in middle school would take a staple gun, put his hand on the table flat, and literally staple 4. And between all of these digits, he stapled 4.
That's what you call a crackhead kid. Man.
He literally stapled 4. No, not a staple gun, a nail gun.
He's definitely on something.
And he was just like, I like this. I mean,
no, bro, there's a lot of crazy stuff. Bro, his morning bacon, egg, and cheese was definitely stuffed with crack, bro, for real.
there's no, like, I was like, are you okay? Like, what's going on?
He's not okay. Man has like 4 nails in his head.
He loved it. Man. Like his hand, the teacher had to come in and literally take like the back end of a hammer and
take it out. Jesus.
Like,
hey, man, some help.
I don't get it, man. There's a lot of crazy stuff you see in school.
That was my middle school, not my high school, because I went to like my middle school was in the projects, bro. So like I've seen some stuff in my middle school, but my high school not so much.
Yeah, luckily I got to go to some schools that was like that. That was kind of like, hood, and I got to go to some like, fancy kind of schools too. So
yeah, I mean, I still live in the projects technically, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Sunday said she's never seen that in her high school.
You lucky then, Sunday.
Yeah, you lucky you got to go to a school where people, didn't do weird stuff like
Where
that.
people were normal.
Yeah, it was a lot of crazy people that I went to school with over the years, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of got off topic. He said our shop teacher cut his. I said luck. When I was saying luckily I got to go to, I was like luckily I got to see all kinds of different schools.
Yeah, no, I actually think that's a good thing because I went to I'll just say I went to a terrible middle school in a terrible neighborhood. Like, bro, if you could survive there and you could learn how to just because everybody has different ways of speaking. Like, I don't speak this way off camera, and I certainly don't speak this way to family or to friends. Right?
Yeah.
It allows you to become hey, it's a football word. It allows you to become versatile in life. So you learn how to deal with a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. Like, I actually think it's a good thing, as crazy as that sounds, but it's like it's a good experience in its own weird way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, Joe Yotto, he hit it on the nail. Street smarts are definitely important.
100%.
And like I said, I mean, I think it's good to be able to maneuver as far as street smarts, and it's good to be able to maneuver, when it's a really good school, when it's a really, nice, safe place too. You should be able to, maneuver everywhere. Yeah, but yeah, DC was kind of a hub for sports for a while. And I know Dundee, I went to middle school with Dundee. But
really?
Yeah, I know him. He's like my best friend in real life.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even know that.
He'll probably, be making a Bucks channel probably up next year. But yeah, his school was kind of like the public school where kids were going to like colleges, D1 colleges and stuff.
What?
Yeah, but the funny thing is, even though those people were going to D1 colleges, the people on the football team were like 140 something playing tight end, 150 something.
Oh,
playing
they were undersized.
Like it was ridiculous. And he'll tell you in the chat too, like everybody was small, and yeah, everybody was small, and like it was just everybody was undersized. But yeah, we can get back to Nick the Wick. What's your favorite Giants victory this year? Let's see. I'll say probably Week 17 because it really showed us that DJ could win, an elimination kind of game.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's Week 17 by far. The other wins, maybe, the second one, even though DJ didn't play, would probably be the Seahawks because I think that's when Giants fans were like on cloud nine. Because at that point we were like, oh, we're really going to the playoffs this year. We're actually a good team, not just a good team in a bad division. But I would say the thing that made me feel the best after, right after we won, probably Week 17 Dallas.
Yeah, man, I definitely agree with all the points you brought up there.
Yeah, and Joe Yotto said his favorite loss was the Ravens. DJ showed a lot of improvement. Yeah, I liked all of DJ's last, 4 or 5 games because he just looked like he had a better control of the offense. And his was the Eagles game. Yeah. Yeah, it's always great beating the Eagles. I just feel like we should have beat them both times too. So
yeah, and Dallas.
We all know why.
Yeah. Get him off. Cut him. Trade him.
But yeah, if there's nothing really else going on in the chat, I know you got to jump into another stream. I wanted to give you a couple minutes.
Yeah, I'll probably take like a 30-minute break, get something to eat, and then hop on Young Guns at 9:30. But
yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. Anybody, if you want to get your last couple of thoughts out in the chat, get it out now. I'll just start off saying some stuff I got up coming up, and by the time Hub finishes saying what he has coming up, we can answer last minute questions. I'm gonna be dropping an Amon-Ra St. Brown video tomorrow. Next week will be Kadarius Toney and Terrace Marshall. So those are the things I have kind of planned ahead. Other than that, I'll just be covering things as they pop up, covering free agency. But what are you coming up?
Other than covering free agency, well, I will say I had 2 vids out today: the skit, and which was the Super Bowl skit, and the Leonard Williams news, and also the Orlando Brown Jr. news. So I had those 2 vids out today. But other than whatever updates pop up as the offseason goes along, I'm gonna start to be working on my New York Giants mock draft 2.0 because this is around the time that I started working on the first one, and this one should take less. It's gonna be out in February 20 something, right? So
Okay.
look. That's what, like 2 weeks from now, maybe a week, two.
Yep.
Be on the lookout for that, guys. So I'm gonna start working on that now.
Cool. I'll get this out of the way. I can say this real quick. My favorite all-time Giants player. It's a tie. I mean, I won't go Eli because that's kind of too easy, but I'll say a tie between Ahmad Bradshaw. One, because he has the same birthday as me, and he's. I just like the way he played. I like the way he led the team. And then another was DRC because I liked DRC before he got to the Giants. I liked using him in Madden. So when he got to the Giants, I was excited.
For me, yeah, I mean, saying Eli would probably be a boring answer, but if it's not Eli, then I'll say Victor Cruz because I started first watching Giants football actually in like '08, so or '07. So because of the '07 Super Bowl, I started watching in '08, right?
Exactly.
I didn't really get into it because I was still very young at that time until like 10, 11, and Cruz, well, he was the guy at that time, right? And I still like Cruz to this day. You know, he still keeps in with the Giants. He's still a pretty cool dude. So if I can't say Eli, I'd probably say him.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with Cruz is someone who kind of got forgotten. I mean, he had 1,600 yards basically as a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was crazy. But I know you got to get out of here. Everybody go check out Young Guns podcast on Kid Blues channel. It's gonna be some
today's gonna be on mine.
Oh, it's gonna be on the Hubs channel this week at 9:30 today. Definitely slide over there. I'll probably slide in the chat for a couple minutes back and forth. But other than that, we're gonna get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
All right.